Sydney.
Well,
Newstart is barely adequate. I mean, we've been reading stories about the level of Newstart and reading that young people are missing out on meals. They have so little left over from Newstart to be after they've paid their rent to be able to feed themselves and get around and do all the things that young people should do, that they're just skipping food.
But it's not just young people, of course. As we've talked about earlier in the year, then the majority of people who are on Newstart are actually over 55.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so this proposal from the Morrison government to double the minimum wait time to claim until people can claim assistance for those who have liquid assets to over $18,000, that is quite alarming. So what would happen is, okay, so you've got 18 grand in the bank, you become unemployed, and before you can access Newstart, you have to wait 13 weeks. If this plan gets up, you'll be waiting 26 weeks, which is a long time. And in that time, I suppose you could easily spend your $18,000. So let's speak with Linda Burney. She is the Shadow Minister for Families and Social Services. She joins us from Canberra, and she's going to tell us about what this new move will mean. Good morning to you, Linda.
Good morning, Wendy. Hello, Robbie.
Good morning, Linda.
Well, the figures are here, Linda. 180,000 plus people are over 55 on Newstart. I suppose a lot of them would have $18,000. Is it just about cash, or what else does it include?
A liquid asset is more than just cash in the bank. It can be money owing to you from an ex-employer through a redundancy payment. It could be shares, it could be debentures, a whole range of things, including potentially loans to your children. Mm-hmm. So it's not just actually money on hand. And as you've indicated, Wendy, in your introduction, this is, in my view and in the view of the Labor Party, completely unfair. It means that people, for example, a guy is 50, he's been made redundant from the car industry, he gets a redundancy payout, and the government is proposing that the redundancy payout, which is equal to your liquid asset, has to be used before you're actually eligible for any sort of Newstart payment. And to me, that just gives no leeway if there is an illness in the family, if the car blows up, if something happens, it's a disaster. It's really unfair.
Oh, well, I guess, though, that folk might say, Linda, that $18,000 is a fair cushion for you, and something to fall back on while you go out and look for work. And the government is trying to cut costs here. So some people might say that was fair enough. What do you say to that? I mean, $18,000. How far do you think that might go?
Well, it's $18,000 if you're single, $36,000 if you're a couple, and over a potential 6-month period, that is not a lot of money. And it means that these are people, all of them, Wendy, have worked their entire lives. They've paid their taxes. They've done the right thing. And now they are being punished because they've had a redundancy payout, which is usually not of their own making. And if the government could give some sort of logic to this, some sort of rationale for doubling the wait time, I'd be really happy to look at, but there is absolutely no rationale, no logic to it, except this is a way to pull back or gouge back money.
Although I guess people will see welfare as a safety net, so it's there to catch you if you really do fall on those extraordinarily hard times. If you do have money to spend to be able to sustain yourself, do you need a safety net when you've got the money?
Look, I've had, in every interview I've done on this particular issue, and there have been many, that prospect, Robbie, has been put to me. But my response is if you are, if all you've got is $18,000 between, and you're unemployed, and you're 55, tell me how far that's going to go, because it is very difficult for someone of that age, sometimes with a low skills base, to actually get another job. And the idea of having to wait for half a year before you can access a fairly small social security payment when you've worked your whole life, when you've paid taxes, to me, is not fair, particularly if the government has no logic for it.
And we do know, Linda, that people in that older age bracket are the ones who are spending a long time on Newstart. Do you have the figures there in front of you?
Yes. Yes, so you're absolutely right. Half of the people on Newstart are over the age of 45, and a quarter of the people on Newstart are over the age of 55, and that's both men and women. And we know some of the social issues facing women in that age bracket, particularly if they don't own a family home and if they're in the rental market. So the demography is really important when we have a look at Newstart. And we also know that people that are older are on Newstart for 2 to 3 years before they get other employment, and they are desperate, all of them, for other employment.
Well, I guess sometimes I sometimes wonder about this. I wonder if people sometimes in Canberra don't imagine that they would ever be without work, Linda.
I think there is something in what you've got to say. I mean, people listening to us, Wendy, many families live from pay packet to pay packet. And for many families, if you didn't have 2 or 3 pay packets, then you would be homeless. And we know that having a roof over your head is the most important contributor to a person's well-being and being able to get other employment. And the stress and the worry and the anguish of someone that's worked for 40 years being put in this situation, I think, is just untenable.
Okay. So what does this look like on the floor of Parliament, Linda?
Well, interestingly, and I know you'll get a smile out of this, it's called the Social Security Integrity Bill. And I can hear you laughing. Yep. And it's being introduced into the House of Representatives this morning. It will be into the Senate, I imagine this week. But I do know that there is, and I can't be too specific, but I do know that there are aspects of this bill, because this isn't the only aspect that really is unacceptable. There is other aspects around migrants that people have some major issues with. So whether or not it'll be voted on this year remains to be seen.
All right. Well, we better let you jump out of the chair and scoot into the chamber then. You'll be starting in a moment, I imagine.
We will.
All right. Good on you, Linda. Thank you very much for that. We'll keep an eye on that one.
Bye.
Thank you so much.